So we finally decided to put a TV in the bedroom, and this is where it's going, right here. The previous owners put plugs and aerial sockets in every bedroom, obviously in places where you might want a TV. So we've got one right here. And if you've been watching or following my channel, you will notice that I decorated this room not too long ago. And what we had on this wall were lots of holes where there was a TV bracket. So yeah, I'm going to be putting another one up. And as you can see, I've got this Samsung Full HD 32-inch TV, and also this one for all solid line universal TV wall mount, which is actually goes really slim to the wall. It's 25mm from the TV to the wall, which is great, but I need enough room to put a plug in, so we'll just have to see what happens there with that. But yeah, we're gonna look at putting this up and hanging the TV. So the first thing that I'll do then is I'll get this out. There's all the remote and plugs and everything. So here's the TV. It's amazing how light TVs are these days, and actually how cheap they can be made. So what we're looking at in terms of the gap between the plug and the TV is actually fine, because I think I'm going to end up with this plug quite high up behind the TV, and it actually has got this curve on it, which means that the TV will actually stand out from the plug slightly, which is good. But there it is, quite a nice thin frame. I might just leave that protective cover on there for now, but that looks all good. So we'll turn it over, and as you can see, we've got these 4 holes here, which are for obviously hanging the TV. So what we'll do, we'll have a look at this. We'll open this up. Now with this particular bracket, you do get this template, but I don't really understand why we've got that template when this is quite small and quite easy just to hold up against the wall, to be honest. So I think it's a bit of a waste of paper and card or whatever, so I'm not going to bother with that. I don't need to use a template, but this is obviously going against the wall, and so we've got our 2 arms here. I'll take that one out, and that one out. So first thing we're going to have to do is to pack these out, because you can see here, because the TV, again, it slopes out or it gets thicker at the bottom, it means this bracket isn't going to be flush against the TV, and it does want to be flat like that. And actually here we don't want the TV to be tilting in any direction. It's going to be a perfect height for laying in bed. Right, so I've had a play about with these, trying to configure the best way to do it. So I've had a rummage through the workshop to find some longer bolts, because the size that I need in the packet are way too short, and I need to pack the bracket away from the TV. So I'm using these big spaces here because of this section. So if I pop that in position there, and then what I'm going to do is use a washer on here into there, which just reduces the length of the bolt just enough to grip. So nice long bolt that I found, and they're quite long, to be honest. And the hole in the TV where the actual nut is, it's about 1 inch deep, which is quite surprising. So we just do those up. There is a little bit of play on these, so you know, if it's slightly out of level or something, you can quite easily just move the brackets enough. And to be honest, this TV is very light. So that's good. This is going to be fixed nice and tightly on the wall. And this bracket is hanging below the TV just a tiny bit. I'd rather it sat below a little bit rather than sit above, because the height of it where it's going, you're more likely to see it if it's too high. So we'll keep it low. Okay, so they're on nice and tight. They're not going anywhere. There we go, that's perfect. So with this part of the bracket on the TV, I can measure the distance from the top of the TV to the bracket, which is 160. I know where I want the TV on the wall, so I measure down 160 on the wall from the point of the top of the TV, and once that's all on, that should give me the right height. And I've also got the distance right in the middle of the wall that I'm putting the bracket on. So what I need to do now is to mark this up on the wall and get it level. I've got one mark here, which is the very corner of the bracket, which I know is correct. So what I need to do is just make sure this is level. Now, you can use a spirit level or a laser level of your own, but you do get this little spirit level in there. Accurate, probably not amazing, but good enough. And as I've said already, there is play on the brackets, so you don't have to massively rely on this, but I'll keep that corner still, and then I'll just adjust the rest of the bracket so it looks level there, which is good. Yeah, and it's good for me. And what I'm going to do here, I'm not going to put holes in all of these, it's absolutely no point. So what I will do is, for now, I'm going to mark these 8. And I think what I may do is just do 4 in these here. The brackets are going to sit on this frame about here. I've got 4 fixings in there. It's a really light TV. That's going to be fine. But obviously if you've got a bigger telly, then you're definitely going to want, if it was a much bigger TV, I'd be thinking 4 in there, 4 in there. I'm kind of thinking 6 on each side is a bit excessive. Now this is stud wall in here, stud wall with plasterboard. So I definitely don't need wall plugs, but I may or may not need some plasterboard fixings, because if I hit a stud, that means I can just go straight in with a screw. So what I'll do to start with is drill a hole that's not too big and enables me just to put a screw in if I don't need a plasterboard fixing. I know the wiring's okay. The wiring comes along this way because you can see it inside this cupboard. So I'm not particularly worried about that, but I will drill it with caution. Well, that's going to be stud. And that isn't stud. So we've got a stud running along this way and not one there. No stud there. And no stud there. So what I'll just do with this one, just to double check it, is put a screw in there. And you can feel that that has gone through timber there. So that's fine. These three need plasterboard fixings. So my method, as usual, most of the time, is to use these plasterboard fixings, these metal ones. They are self-drilling, but I like to drill a smaller hole first. And what we'll do, little hole like that. And in today's video, I'm going to screw it in with a hand screwdriver. So the end of that literally just goes into the wall. And then what I can do is apply just the right amount of force. There, absolutely perfect. If you get these right, they won't let you down. But I really have seen people make such a mess of these fixings. Gotta keep driving it in. And also make sure that there's nothing behind it, because if you haven't got enough cavity behind the plasterboard, what will happen is you continue screwing it, particularly with an impact driver, and then it will start pushing all the plasterboard out, and that's when it will just make a right mess. So I've got plenty of room behind these, like so. That one is just going straight into the timber. Silly boy, I've put that in the wrong hole. Let's try that again. So here is where we can just adjust it a little bit. This is where the timber is, so I've just put a slightly longer screw in here. And that's pulled in lovely. And then one more here. Now you could get away with just one washer if you had one big one with a small hole in the middle. Like a penny washer. It's quite a big washer, quite a small hole in the middle. But this is absolutely fine. I'm just going to double check those by hand. And judging by how hard they are in the wall, and that's level, that's not going anywhere. TV's very light. So that is perfect. So this should sit right there, like so. And then what I can do is hide this cable down the back of the TV, but just get that plugged in, like so. Lovely. Let's take this off. Oh, I have got to secure it yet, so let's do that now. And as you can just about see, there are some screws right here, which then need to be screwed up. Right, so these do take a while, so let's skip this bit, but make sure you drive those all the way home. That will then prevent the TV from being able to be pulled off this way, but it will also prevent it from lifting up off the bracket. Last of the protective film and cover. So there we go, that's how I put up another TV bracket. Now I have got another video where I'm putting up an extending TV bracket, so you can go check that out. I'll put a link to that at the end of this video. Yeah, really happy. So this evening, I have a bit of telly in bed, I think. Oh yes. And that curtain's shut, that can just sit behind there when we like to close it in the evening. Well, hope you enjoyed the video, hope you found it useful, hopefully got something out of it, and yeah, leave me a comment or a question if you want to, and I'll see you on the next video.